Hey y'all, I'm just going to give a couple of minutes for people to get in here. Um, I'm going to introduce myself again and kind of talk about what's been going on and what's coming. This is such an amazing thing for me. I am terrified and excited as I talk through what's upcoming. This is becoming kind of my uh, social media newsletter because all of you are not yet on my mailing list to understand what's going on in my business. But I want to talk about it a little bit. I'll start by saying I'm Melanie White, founder of Sisyphus HR, and I am very excited to share all of the things that have been going on. I'm going to share this picture and you'll see it. And this is all of the stuff that I've done. And it makes me very nervous and uncomfortable to share it, but I have to do it. And these are the places where I've worked, where I've done some really major HRIS transformations. And you'll hear more about that as I keep talking and growing in this sharing of who I am and what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do and do in the future. But I have worked for some big name companies and done some really big projects globally. And so that kind of is uncomfortable for me to share. It feels like bragging, but it's the truth. So this is who I am. I have been in HR for 30 years and I have done a lot of work in HR systems, HR system transformations, setting up HR systems. I love HRIS. I love the process of project management and managing HR projects. So that is what I really enjoy doing. I'm going to take this down because it just makes me uncomfortable to talk about it. But I wanted to share updates from my weekend. I went to Houston this past weekend, and in my last live, I told you I had flunked out of law school. Well, I had an epiphany. Yes, I flunked out of law school. Went to Houston, went back to my law school, walked around, and it just didn't feel as big and oppressive as it had been living in my mind being. But what I realized is I didn't flunk out of law school. I failed one class, one, torts. And the professor was horrible. And if anybody had that professor at TSU, and I'm going to call his name because he's probably not still alive, Professor Lugo Real, he just didn't teach well. And, that's not his issue. That's not my issue. We could have met in the middle. It just didn't work. But I also realized that telling a 21-year-old that they need to understand what a tort is and what any simple wrong is, when you really haven't experienced any wrong up until that point, it was impossible for me to understand it. Either way, I went there, I reclaimed my whole self, and it was awesome. It made me realize that I'd been carrying around a story that I didn't need to keep telling. Oh well, so there we go. And then while I was there, I decided to start rereading my favorite book, which is, if you know me, I'm picking up a whole bunch of stuff. If you know me, it's called You Inc. Discover the CEO Within by Burke Hedges. I freaking love that book. It has been the guide for my life and career since probably when it was written in 1996. So we're not even going to talk about how many years that is because I cannot do math in my head. But in reading it, the first chapter, it talked about taking responsibility. And I am taking responsibility for making sure people know who I am and what I do. I talk about coaching, but I'm not like your average coach. I am a coach that really takes you through a transformation or transformative process. And you don't leave me and you're just out in the world like, oh, well, I had this really good feeling. No, I am going to make sure you leave me with a plan. I am completing a cohort right now. I have people in a cohort that we've been doing this 6-week coaching journey. And tonight I realized it last week. We had gotten to a point, but I didn't have enough to take them over the finish line. And so I've decided to give them an extra week gratis on me because I want to make sure they have what they need to have. And in my coaching cohort, this is the time where they can have a one-on-one session with me. It's cohort, so there's a bunch of people doing a bunch of things, but this allows for the one-on-one time for them really to hear from me about what that plan needs to look like for their next phases. They've done all the work to figure out what they want to do, but now let's solidify it. So I'm very proud about that. And I am taking the responsibility of making sure that you know what it is I do, but not just on the coaching side, but on the HRIS side. And I have been in HRIS, in HR for so many years that it was before HRIS really existed. I was joking with a former coworker, and I probably said this last week. I have been in HR since the time that we were taking clipboards and passing them across the road to each other and tracking people on projects on paper. And so I have realized that I am like the human historian of HR systems, HR technology, HRIS, from the clipboard to the cloud and beyond. And so I want to talk with organizations that are getting ready to go on their HR systems journey, implementing a new system, upgrading a system, any of those things. And I want to talk to them and give them my knowledge. So if you know a company that's doing that, please share this and get them in contact with me, because I have a wealth of knowledge about the things that go right, the things that go wrong, the things that can do all sorts of things. And I've been on every kind of project. I've had people have babies, die, get sick, have heart attacks, those things. Because, I used to make the joke, Go Live Weekend is really about going dead. Who you win when everybody is alive. And I know that was morbid, but it really is. If anybody has been a consultant, has worked on, major projects, $60 million projects where everything rides on whether the switch gets flipped on time, anything can happen. And so I've been through those, and I want to be able to offer those services to companies that may not be able to afford the big six, big four now. See, the world has changed. Big four consulting firm, because I've got the experience. I know what can happen. I can guide all the way through. So that's enough about what I do. You Inc. is a book that I discovered, and it really just speaks to really the CEO that's within you. But you don't know that you're the CEO until you really start thinking about what it is that you want to do, what you want to get out of your career. And so that is what I have used as my litmus test, because I didn't have, parents that had done this before. And so reading this book helped me realize everywhere I go, I'm picking up some new skills, new talents, new abilities, and being able to use them and leverage them in a new environment. And so that is what I take from this book. And so when I reread, I thought about, because again, I read it in 96. And then when I look at it in 2025, it's a totally different journey. And I realized that I got my core statement where I talk about skills, talents, and abilities from reading this book. When I reread it, it says that our charge on this earth is to exercise our gifts and talents to the maximum and care for all of the assets God has given us, including our bodies. Well, here we go. That is all about skills, talents, and abilities, because if your body doesn't work, you're not able to do anything. And it's just really all of these things. I shouldn't be reading this as I'm doing this, but I just re-highlighted new things. There are two kinds of people on the road of life: passengers and drivers. People who take responsibility are the drivers of the world. And those are the people that are in control and call the shots. And I always wanted to be a shot caller, so I took control. And passengers are spectators, just watching the world go by instead of choosing to actively participate. And instantly that made me think about Brené Brown. She talks about daring greatly. Well, you can't dare greatly and be a passenger. You've got to jump in there and do the things. And you are the responsible person for the success or failure, the improvement or stagnation of You Inc. That's key. You Inc. You're responsible for. I'm not going to go all into this, but I just wanted to bring that up because it was just something that was really exciting for me. I am going to be speaking this Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time for the Implementation Lab. I posted about it last week and I'll be posting some more about it. Please register and come and support me. I would appreciate having people listen to me. I'm going to be talking about assigning your value as a person with your skills and talents and abilities. So please join me. Yes, I said Saturday. So anybody that is attending the Spell House homecoming, I will possibly miss it, but that is okay. This is part of my dream. And, Spell House has provided me a great landing place to start dreaming, but I'm living in it. And so it's important. One of the things that I've been doing recently is starting my vision board for 2026. 2026, yes. And I started early because my birthday is the last day of the year, and I cannot stand when people are like, "Oh, well, the year is over, and we're planning." I don't want to plan on my birthday, so I'm doing it early. And as I have been doing that vision boarding, I've realized that there's a conversation that I need to have with all of y'all, especially all of y'all that are highly driven, high powered, high functioning leaders, executives. The world shifted and we need to be ready. So I'm having a fireside chat next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. I'll post it and link about it tomorrow because it's the end of the day and I just needed to get this done. But next Tuesday, October 21st at 7 p.m., we're going to have a fireside chat talking about being ready for 2026 and talking about my Unapologetic Leadership Academy. I don't want all of us to be caught slipping. There's so much, and I just found the camera. So I've been looking down the whole time, trying to look at myself, and I really should be looking up at the camera. These are all the things that you learn when you practice. So next Tuesday, we'll be talking about what it means to be ready. There's so many things that we have to do. And as leaders, we just don't have time to do it. But I really encourage all leaders, anybody that hears this and leads anything, think about how you can invest in yourself to make sure that your 2026 is secure. So again, I just wanted to come here, talk a little bit, share who I am, be a little bit vulnerable and transparent. On a call earlier today, I talked about how my personal moniker is being vulnerable yet gangsta. And so talking on a live is vulnerable and gangsta. So here we go. Again, I am Melanie White. I am the founder and CEO of Sisyphus HR, and it is imperative to me that I reach as many people as possible so that I can serve them and help them either grow in their careers or avoid pitfalls in their HRIS implementation project journeys. So thank you for listening, joining, and if you're watching this on replay, I truly appreciate y'all too. And so this is me signing off. It is late in the evening, but I've made the commitment that once a week I'm going to come on and talk about what's going on. And I used to work for a company where our CEO used to have ramblings, and he'd send out an email and just kind of talk about general stuff. Well, here I am. I'm rambling in the digital age. Nobody's going to read an email with all of that stuff in it anymore. And you might not even listen to this video, but I'm sharing all of the things, and I'll probably put it in a newsletter and hit you in all of the ways. Okay, that was a lot. I'm Melanie White, founder and CEO of Sisyphus HR, and thank you for listening, and I will talk to you again soon.